Okay, now we're going to dimension a slightly more complex part. We've seen parts like this in class. This is Melissa and Doug construction set in a box. It's a piece of bar stock with some rounded edges here and some holes, right? And so this is going to get us working with fillets and working with circular features. So I'm going to start by doing what I did before, which is going ahead and making a drawing from part and assembly. So in this instance, guys, if you get an error message like this, this is saying there's a drawing file with the same name as the model. I've made a model or a drawing of this part before, and I don't want to open that file. I want to create a new one, and that's okay. So I'm going to go back and find my English unit title block, okay, load that up, and there I am. And I'm not going to worry about editing the title block. I've already shown you kind of how that goes. So let's start with actually making the orthographic projection. And here's a good example of the way that I set up my part. Actually, the top view is what I want as my front, right? And the front view would not be a good choice for my top. So I'm going to pull in the top, and I'm going to come up, and I'm going to come to the right, and then I've got this guy. Okay, here's a good example of, I'm going to need to adjust my scaling a little bit, right? So to get all three of these and my isometric, I need to scale down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to come down and use a custom scale, and I'm going to try 2/3. That should take it down nicely. So if I go too small, right, this is a little bit hard on the eyes, okay? So I'll do a 2 to 3 scale, and I'll make sure that I go ahead and note that, again, you know, I will edit the template for you here. I want to make sure that I know what that is. So I'm going to edit the sheet, and I'm going to make sure that this is absolutely clear. I've got to remind myself that I'm using a 2 to 3 scale. I'm going to delete the note because I hate the stupid note. There, I feel better. Okay, so we're going to now go ahead and start dimensioning on this. And even though I've scaled this, right, the dimensions that are going to show are going to be for the true dimensions of this piece. Okay, so even though this is a bit smaller than it is in reality, the dimensions that are going to show on the page here are going to be the true dimensions of the part. That's what 2 to 3 means, okay? So couple things I want to fix first, though. So first off, my hidden lines aren't shown, which means I need to flip this guy on, right? Hello. I'm on the parent mode. There we go. There, my hidden lines are coming up now. That's good. The second thing is I'm seeing these hard edges where I should have a smooth edge. This is called a tangent edge, okay? And it's standard practice to remove these. So pay attention here as I remove these tangent edges. This is something that you're going to have to do. So it's showing on both my top and my right side view. So basically, in reality, you would not show tangent edges. That's non-standard. So I would go ahead, I would right-click, and I go down to tangent edge, and it says tangent edges removed. So that's going to take those out. And I need to do this on both views. Right-click, tangent edge removed. Last thing I need to fix is this guy here. I don't want any hidden lines on my isometric, and why not go ahead and shade it a little bit. I'm also going to remove, let's see if tangent edge removed on that guy too, okay? So nice smooth edges there, reflective of having a radius that blends in here on the sides. Okay, other things, right? So I do need to see some center lines. So I'm going to apply center lines to these two objects. So some of the center lines are showing up here, but they're not showing up on these two views, and that's an issue. So I'm going to use the auto select feature. So what this does is it's going to put center lines in on views automatically. So it's going to say you have a circular feature here. I know you want center lines on these two. Okay, so again with that, you're going to come off of center line, and then you select, put it in all views, and that will plunk it down. You could also do center line and have these select individually, but that's an easy way to get the center lines on there. Okay, next up, folks, we need to deal with the overall dimensions of the part, all right? So I'm going to go to Smart Dimension. I am going to ensure that I am selecting edge to edge and getting the full width, and I'm going to select edge to edge here. If I don't do that, what's going to happen is these fillets are going to play in, right? So I could get something like this, 0.5. That's not correct, right? Who cares? That is that edge minus the fillet, the two fillets, which is not relevant. Okay, 1, 2. I need one more dimension here. You pick which side to do it on. I think I'm going to do it on the top view, because why not? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You have the same zoom features here, guys, that you do for your parts when you're in 3D space. Okay, so I've got that. Now I need to locate these holes. All right, we've been here before, right? Well, first off, let me specify the size of the hole. Okay, so I'm going to come up and say, okay, this is, whoops, Smart Dimension. Smart Dimension also works for holes. All right, and it's got this ridiculous amount of like text here, right? So I'm going to make sure that I edit this. So I like diameter. Yeah. Diameter. Tool options, symbol options. Okay. So it looks like I hadn't set up a setting there, guys. But basically, this diameter symbol should populate here. It's not doing that. So I'm going to cheat for the purposes of this video. And then I'll show you on the next video how to fix that. Okay, but I'll do dot. But this should come up. There's a setting I needed to upload, and hopefully that was taken care of on the eCalc computers. But if not, I will have a quick fix to that in a second. Diameter, and then we're going to do, what was that, 0.50, okay? And then we're going to do 3x. Okay, so that's going to take care of the diameter on all three of those holes. That's great. Now I just need to know the spacing on all of those, right? What's the spacing? What's the spacing in this dimension here? Okay, so first thing I need to do is I need to make sure that that I've connected basically these center lines. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Never mind. Okay, so I am going to first make sure that I've specified this dimension here, which is the height up, right? So I want to go from this to this guy here. It's being a little picky. Let's try this again. I'm going to say vertical dimension here to here. There we go. Okay. So this gives me 0.5. I'm going to move that out. I'm going to move this guy out. And then I'm going to do a chain dimension coming this way. All right. So I'm going to go now from horizontal. So I'm forcing SolidWorks to use Smart Dimension in a particular way. 2. And this guy should be 2 as well. Okay. Now I'm going to space this out. And one thing I do have to communicate, though, guys, is that these holes share a common center line, right? So let me see if I can get that to work for me. I am going to want to, I think, do a sketch, and I'm going to do a center line. So I am moving over to the next tab over, guys, in order to make this work. I thought I might be able to get it to work. See what this looks like. Okay, that's not bad. That's not a bad center line. So that's communicating that these holes all share a common center line. Technically, this should also be stretched out. And there we go. We have a pretty good drawing. Again, I will show you the fix for how to actually get the diameter symbol there. That looks like there's a library that hasn't been loaded yet. Okay. While we're talking about this, I want to also show you another way to deal with this particular part. So this part is symmetric, right? It's symmetric about the X and Y axis around this center hole. So we can take advantage of that symmetry to make some of this a little bit easier, all right? So if we were to lay down center lines here and specify that those lines are center lines, I'm just going to keep sketching as I'm talking here, that would take care of, it would eliminate a couple dimensions that I can put in here. Let me show you. So typically, if you're doing this, what's happening is you're adding these little extensions here, okay? And you're adding a note. So I'm going to put in a note, say A. You can copy these if you want. So it's going to let me add another A in over here. Whoop. Okay, AA. I'm going to move that guy a little bit. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here where I've got a little bit of a tail that I'm going to add on with my sketch tool. That line is at an angle. Not good. There we go. And I'm going to put another note in. And caps. Come on now. Okay. So if I add a note, I just deleted those notes, but now look at me, I need them again. And I say that this part is symmetrical about A and B. I am actually good. I have fully specified the part at that point. And actually you really don't need to specify, well, you do need to specify about A. So I would add in a note down at the bottom. Two ways to do it. I could go back and add the note in on the template, or I could add the note here and say notes, symmetry, AA, and BB. That tells the machine shop that you're seeing the same pattern on either side about BB. Okay, and I'm take back my words. I don't think we need it about A. No, we do need it about A because that locates the center of the circle. Never mind. Need both of them. All right, so here's another way to do the dimensioning on this. So if you don't want to locate the holes, right, each and every hole, and you want to take advantage of symmetry, that would also be a valid way to go here. All right. I think that's, oh, radii. I need to call out the fillets. So let's also do that, okay? So we're going to use Smart Dimension on this. And Smart Dimension is doing a good job here. It recognizes that this is a radius, right, because it's part of a circle. So if this were a semicircle or more, it would come up as diameter. Radius 0.25. And then we're going to say 4x. There we go. Okay, so I think we got everything now. We've got the holes, we've got them located. We're doing it the symmetry way here, but you could do it the other way. We've got the overall dimensions, we've got the diameter of each hole, and we've got the fillet. So looking pretty good.